What if I told you the CIA, aka the Seamen, secretly drugged American citizens, wiped their memories, hypnotized them, and tried to create real-life Manchurian candidates? Because I'm here to tell you, that wasn't some tinfoil hat conspiracy. The Seamen actually did this. It was called MK Ultra, and it was so insane, so illegal, and so deeply screwed up, the Seamen literally destroyed all the files to cover their tracks. But they missed a few, and what survived tells a story of government-funded mind control experiments, deranged doctors, and human guinea pigs who never even gave consent. This isn't science fiction. This isn't paranoia. This is real American history. And once you see what they did, you'll never trust a glass of water from a stranger again. Now, if you're a new viewer and you're confused, don't worry. This isn't my first rodeo with the Seamen. They earned this nickname by trying to become the new X-Men in my last video. Now, let's rewind to the early 1950s. The US had just survived World War II, and the Cold War was heating up fast. Soviet spies were everywhere. Nuclear war felt imminent, and America's intelligence agencies were freaking out. Then, something strange started happening. Captured American soldiers from the Korean War came back, but brainwashed. They were confessing to war crimes, praising communism, and even some refused to come home. The Seamen saw this and thought, holy shit, did the Soviets crack mind control? So they decided if the enemy was going to use psychological warfare, we had to use psychological warfare and beat them to it. Now we get to MK Ultra, a top secret program launched in 1953 under the director of the Seamen, Alan Dulles. The project was handed to a man named Cindy Gottlieb Gottmilk, a chemist who would become known as the Seamen's poisoner-in-chief. And Gottmilk, when it came to breaking ethical code, that man was all gas, no brakes. At its core, MK Ultra was a giant human experiment. So the Seamen wanted to know, can we erase memories? Can we reprogram behavior? And can we literally control someone's mind? Then later we found out that they used high doses of LSD, hypnosis and sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy and isolation, and they even forced drug withdrawals followed by psychological torture. And the worst part, they didn't even tell people what they were doing as they were experimenting on prisoners, mental hospital patients, prostitutes, addicts, and even regular citizens in bars and universities with no clue that they were being drugged. So the Seamen created a program called Operation Midnight Climax. Now I know that sounds like a psycho name, but honestly it fit perfectly because they literally paid sex workers to lure men into safe houses. Then the Seamen watched through one-way mirrors as the men were secretly dosed with LSD, and then their behavior was observed. For science, let's say. Yes, the Seamen ran government-funded acid brothels. Bro, they're giving a whole new meaning to their name right now. Now, one of the most disturbing stories in this whole mess is the case of Frank Olson. Not Frank Ocean, that dude's doing okay, but Frank Olson. See, Olson was a biochemist who worked with the Seamen. He wasn't some rogue lunatic. He had a family, a steady job, and a security clearance. Then, during a retreat in 1953, government colleagues spiked his drink with LSD without telling him, just to see what would happen. Olson had a full psychological breakdown. He started questioning what the agency was doing, and he wanted out. A week later, he fell or was pushed out of a 13-story hotel window. The Seamen claimed it was an intentional jump. But decades later, after his body was exhumed, forensic experts found injuries consistent with a beating before he hit the ground. To this day, many believe Olson was murdered to keep the MK Ultra project quiet. By the early 1970s, the Seamen realized MK Ultra was a huge liability. The media was digging and whistleblowers were whispering. So in 1973, the head of the Seamen ordered all MK Ultra documents to be destroyed. Poof, decades of experimentation gone, or so they thought. See, a few boxes of financial records accidentally survived, literally because someone misfiled them on accident. And in 1975, a US Senate committee called the Church Committee began investigating. That's when the public learned just how deep this rabbit hole really went. Testimonies revealed illegal drugging, brainwashing experiments, and horrifying stories from survivors. Here's a direct quote from Senator Frank Church. The US government has been funding and conducting psychological experiments on unwitting citizens in direct violation of the Constitution of the United States. And the public, they were outraged. But no one's ever really been held accountable. Cindy Gottmilk retired quietly. No charges, no jail time. The victims never got justice. See, here's the thing. MK Ultra wasn't just some dark chapter in history. It set the tone for how far governments are willing to go behind closed doors in the name of national security. It paved the way for covert surveillance programs, disinformation campaigns, psychological operations, both overseas and domestically, and bullshit like the Patriot Act. Oh, and the victims? Some are still alive. People who lost memories, had their personalities altered permanently, or developed lifelong trauma, all because the seamen wanted to see if LSD could make a super spy for them. And just to be clear, they did not succeed. MKUltra never created mind control, but it did prove one thing, that under the right conditions, with enough secrecy and power, governments can do things so insane, you wouldn't believe them even if they told you. See, MKUltra wasn't a conspiracy theory, it was a real operation, run with real money on real people, and it was hidden for decades. So next time someone says, man, the government would never do that, just remember, oh bro, they already did. So with that, what do you guys think the most disturbing part of MKUltra was? Drop a comment below. Trust me, I read them all. Oh, and like the video if you learned something new, and subscribe if you're into dark history, bizarre psychology, and facts that make you question everything. But at the end of the day, all the regular viewers already know. Stay safe out there, because I'ma see y'all next time.